happy is he.
Amen.
And that is in King James. When you break that down in the original language, it literally means when you listen to instruction, you will prosper. And if you trust in the Lord, you will be joyful.
Amen.
So listen for instruction.
Yes, Lord.
Trust in the Lord.
Amen.
And what you're going to do is you will find prosperity and joy.
Amen.
So what I'm speaking about tonight is simply about joy. Somebody shout joy.
Joy.
I've often heard as a kid that it was Jesus first, others second, yourself last. And so it was built on the premise that you put Jesus first, you seek him first, and then others are second, you serve them, then you put yourself last. But I've lived long enough to realize that that's not how it is.
All right.
Now it is Jesus first.
Yes, it is. Amen.
But you better put yourself second.
Amen.
Then others.
Right. Amen.
Now before you start throwing eggs at me,
Yeah. Come on, Bishop.
here's why I say that. If I don't believe in myself, you will not believe in me.
Amen.
If I don't be the best I can be, I won't be the best for you.
Amen.
And so I'm not talking about when you put yourself second that you get stuck up, that you get conceited, that your nose is so high that if it rains you will drown. Now I'm talking about where you know with full confidence God has called you. And every one of you that are here tonight, God has called you to a particular ministry. God has called you to be something in his kingdom.
Amen.
Something mighty.
Amen.
Something glorious.
Amen.
It's not God's will that you just stumble along in the dark. You know, the old saying, a blind hog will find an acorn sometimes. That should not describe your ministry.
Amen.
That should not describe the way you live for God.
Amen.
But you got to have confidence in the God who has called you. And if God has called me, then who am I to give it doubt?
Amen.
Listen, our worst enemy is not those who are against us. Our worst enemy is the one that we stare at in the mirror every day.
Amen.
It's ourself. It's that inner critic. It's that part of us that speaks and destroys. And it's hard to measure up. It's hard to overcome. Because it's always slashing and tearing. And sometimes you got to say, self, sit down, shut up, and listen. I haven't done this in a long time. But I've told you many times, I'll get two chairs out. And I'll set them looking at one another. And I'll say, Tom Foster, you sit in that chair, and I'm going to sit in this chair. Now, have no fear, I do not have a split personality. But I will tell him to sit down in that chair, and then I'll look him in the eye and say, if you give me any mouth, if you give me any back talk, you're getting ready to go on a 3-day fast. Boy, he'll shut up. I tell him, if you give me any problems, you're getting ready to dissect and diagram the whole chapter of Psalms 119. The longest chapter in the Bible. he will be quiet. And I'll say, you are going to quit doubting yourself. And you're going to start believing in the God who has called you, and the God who has placed you, and the God who has encouraged you.
Amen.
And you're going to quit doubting the Word of God. Now, in all of this, I'm going to talk about joy. Now, today is the 5th of June. On the 4th of June, 10 years ago, was when my twin brother was declared dead. Killed in a horse wreck. Southern Arizona. It's a whole nother story. And this year, yesterday in particular, I chose to remember not how he died, but how he lived. And so I'm going to reminisce a little bit with you tonight. Some of you may have heard these stories. Some of you, it may be for the very first time. But he and I were twins. We were mirror twins. I was 5 minutes older than him. We were mirror twins because I was left-handed, he was right-handed. We were identical, so it looked like we had a mirror image of the other. And where you saw one, you saw the other. I never had to worry about not having a best friend. I always had a best friend. On the first day of school, I didn't have to worry about going in there with a whole bunch of strangers. I had my twin. We were always together. And they never allowed us to be in the same class until the 4th grade. And in the 4th grade, they put us in the same class. And in that class, they sat me right in front of him. He's my twin. If we're taking a test and I'm having problems with number 8, I just turn around and look at his paper. I mean, if he's having a problem on the test, he just taps me on the shoulder and says, "Hey, Tom, what'd you get for number 9? And I would tell him, and we would talk. And we couldn't understand why we kept getting in trouble. When we were in the 8th grade, we were riding the bus to school. And the bus driver's name was Mrs. Shelton. And there was only 3 stops on the whole route. And it seemed like there would be 30 kids that got on at each stop. It really wasn't that many. And so each stop had their own little gang. And not really a gang, but can't come up with a better word. And so we were always at war with one another. And we'd throw oranges across the bus, apples, other projectiles. We got off the bus, and there was one rather hefty fella from the first stop. We were the 3rd stop. And he grabbed me and spun me around and said, "You want to fight?" We're about 12, 13 years old. And I'm standing there just jawing at him, and we're just hollering back and forth. And my twin runs up, pushes me out of the way, and says, "Yeah, I want to fight," and hauls off and smacks him right in the nose. And the fight was on. Well, he got in trouble. He was the one in the principal's office, and I wasn't. Another time, I got in trouble at lunchtime. We were playing too rough, I guess, and they carried me to the office with another boy. We wasn't doing anything, just... Well, let me hurry on. And so we're sitting there in the office. And my twin comes by, and he opens the door and pokes his head in. He said, "Hey, Tom, I heard you were in trouble down here at the principal's office." I said, "Yeah." And about that time, Coach Goldberg comes around the corner of the hallway. Coach Goldberg was a little short Jew, head coach at our school. And he always wore his little coaching pants, little t-shirt pulled over, and always had a little cap on, and had the whistle around his neck. And wore his tennis shoes with high-rise socks. And he was very precise in everything he did. He was an older fella. And he come around and he said, "Hey, what are you doing there?" Hollering at my twin brother. And Tim slammed the door, looked back at him, and said, "Catch me if you can." And he took off. Well, I heard Tim say that, so I wondered what was going on. So I jumped up, poked my head out the door, and Coach Goldberg said, "You get back in there, man." I shut the door, and Coach put his whistle in his mouth and took off running after my twin. And he's blowing that whistle. And he's done this because he always held his hands very precise. He did coach us, when you run, you hold your fingers like this. And so he's running down the hallway. And Tim ran down the hallway, out the door, into the other building, down that hallway, up the stairs, down the hallway. And Coach is blowing his whistle, trying to catch him. And Tim just running, and teachers are coming out in the hallway. And now he's downstairs, running back into the building, and up those stairs and down. Coach never did catch him till right before he got back to the office, and he finally called him. And he opened the office door and brought him in there, and there I was. And Coach is looking at him and looking back at me. And about that time, Tim jerked away from him and took off running. Coach let him go. There's always Tim was the one always being in trouble. I was the good one. I had the halo. He had the horns. He's not here to dispute that, so I'm right. I remember what I said about the bus ride, the bus route. And we'd be always causing trouble for Miss Shelton. Sometimes she'd make us stay after on the bus to chew us out and give us a good talking to. And she was doing that, and it was just the two of us. And she looked at him and said, "What's your name, boy?" And he said, "My name is Keith." And I looked back on Keith. She said, "What's your last name?" He said, "Rizzuto." And I went, "Oh my God." She looked at me, "What's your name?" First one that popped in my head, Zeke. Zeke Rizzuto. Or she went on and on about the Rizzuto boys. How bad they were. Turned our names in at the office. Later that day, my twins back in the office, waiting on the principal. It's the assistant principal. We got real acquainted with him. So, the ladies that take the attendance were questioning one another, "Who are the Rizzuto boys?" And Tim heard that, and he jumped up and said, "Oh, I know who they are. They go to the high school, and they were riding the bus today. They're bad boys." Oh, well, that explains why we can't find the Rizzuto boys. Okay, we'll just send this down to the high school. Well, then Tim and I knew we had it made to shade, because we would never get caught. We're the Rizzuto boys. Boy, it was on several times, man. The Rizzuto boys are always sitting on the bus while she talks to us after everybody else is gone. And one day she was doing that, and the assistant principal come walking down, and his name was Mr. Lemon. We were first name basis with him and his paddle. That was back when they had corporal punishment in the school. They would send him to jail now. So we're sitting there. Tim and I are trying not to look out the window. We're trying to turn our heads and duck where maybe he wouldn't see us. But lo and behold, he saw us. He crawled up on the bus. "Miss Shelton, are these boys causing you trouble?" She went, "Mr. Lemon, these Rizzuto boys are about to get me." He looked at us. And he looked back at her. And he said, "Rizzuto boys." He said, Miss Shelton, they won't cause you any more trouble. Come with me, Rizzuto boy. Well, we climbed off the bus, and as we did, Miss Shelton was just grinning so big, she knew what was about to happen to us. All the way to the office, it was Rizzuto boy. Rizzuto boy. We got in the office, and all he did was push his phone across the desk. This back before you had cell phones. It was one of those black jobs with the dial on it and the cord running. He pushed it over there. He said, boys, what will it be? Will you call your dad now and tell him? Or are you going to start today in the next 3 days, come by my office before school, and I'm going to give you 3 swats every morning? Man, I jumped up, turned that chair around, bent over. I said, don't you dare call my dad. That was always getting me in trouble. I remember one time we were probably 15 years old. I shouldn't tell this story, but I'm going to. Most kids are gone anyway. And Sue, Dana's mama, was driving us from her house, take the girls home, and then take us home. All the kids have been over there, their house. I'm in the back seat with Mary and had my arm around her, and I'm big Romeo, 15 years old. And I thought, well, nobody's looking, I'll just steal me a kiss. And about that time, Sue went over the railroad track. And she went over rather fast. And she told me later she was watching in the rear view mirror, and she timed it just right. Because you see, I had braces on. And Mary had braces on. And about the time I kissed her, Sue hit the railroad track. And we got stuck. And I pulled my head back, and hers went with me. She pulled her head back, and I went with her. And she cried out, and I cried out, and everybody else is laughing. Be sure your sins will find you out. I still have trouble forgiving Sue for that to this day. I have to go to heaven. Wow. And what does my twin have to do with that? He was in the back seat laughing his head off. I was dating my wife. We were single then, just kids really. He had a date, we were double dating. We went into the restroom, and I looked at him and he looked at me and said, why don't we switch? Let's swap, see if they know what happened. And we come back out. And we always dress just alike most of the time. So there we are. And we swap. Now she tells me to this day she knew, she just went along with it. She didn't know. Until my twin could not hold it and he laughed and laughed. And then I started laughing, and they want to know what we're laughing at. And the next thing they know, they start looking and they scream, and we were found out. It was fun being a twin. We were in high school, and he said, let's swap classes. I said, okay. I've got English 4. We were seniors in high school. I got English 4, and you got lunch. I want out of English, and I want to go to lunch. Wow. Now, I've jumped ahead of myself. I've swapped it. He had the English class, and I And I was at lunch, so we swapped. So I went into his class, and he got to go to lunch. Well, we got in class. The kids all knew what was going on. And Mrs. Lewis, poor thing, it was her last year to teach. She had been teaching probably 75 years. She couldn't figure out why everybody's always laughing. And we cut up so much that the next day Tim came and knocked on the door. Miss Lewis, I need to see my twin brother. She said, no, y'all don't go out the hallway. You stand right here. So he looked at me. I looked at him. We started going around in circles. And she couldn't tell who was who. So he went on to lunch and class. And boy, we got that teacher so riled up. I never will forget it. She had a chair that would spin all the way around. And we got her spinning. And we got her out the hallway. And we were pushing her up the hallway fast. You know, come to think of it, that wasn't me, that was him. He had the horns. Got back into class, and we got her back to class, the other students had turned her big desk around. And turned all the books around on the desk to where she couldn't slide up under it, because now it's turned around. And she was banging her legs, trying to get up underneath there, couldn't, looking around. Boy, she got mad. She slammed her hand on that desk. We knew we were all in trouble, so the girls had to go up and take her off to the side and calm her down. And we boys turned the desk around, got it right, got her back over there, and she was fine. Now, my last story is we swapped physics class. I didn't like it. So I was just cutting up. I'm in the back room. It's one of those rooms real long and narrow. It's got a blackboard on both walls, front and back. I'm in the very back, and I load up that eraser with chalk. And I turn around and I chunk that eraser to the front. And it hits the board. And the teacher, his back is to us. And that chalk dust flies everywhere. He turns around. Boy, man, we're just cutting up because they know, okay, the twins in, the party's on. So he turned around, writing another problem on the board, and I load up another eraser. And I chunk it, and as soon as it leaves my hand, he turns around. And there I am with an eraser. Boy, he wrote out that pink slip, put that in my hand, sent me to the office. When he's got me out in the hallway, sending me away, I'm saying, but man, Mr. Anderson, you can't send me to the office. He said, I want to know why I can't. I said, because I'm not Tim, I'm Tom. We switched on you. He was boiling mad now. And sent me to the office. They called Tim out of his class, brought us down there. Mr. Bates was the assistant principal. We're seniors in high school. I mean, he sets us down, has to shut the door. And when he sat down, he buried his head on the desk, laughing. Mr. Bates was our next door neighbor. He said, boys, I'm not going to tell your parents. He said, this is hilarious. He said, I haven't laughed like this in so long. He said, I know your daddy's a preacher, so I got a Bible verse for you. I'm going to let you go, but sin no more. He said, the only thing, I'm going to sentence you to this. You can't tell nobody. And I just blew it because I'm telling you. But that was way back in 1971 or 72, so I think I'm all right. But it was fun living with my twin. It was joyful. We ran bus routes, bringing kids to church. We did children's church together. We did youth camps together. We were in children's ministry and all around different things at the church, living that way. The two of us. Where you saw one, you saw the other. When I was married and traveling across America, and my wife and I would come back in to hometown, he was working a job there, he and his wife. Well, if I got in, it didn't matter if it was early in the morning, late at night, I'd go straight to his house. And we'd go sit outside and we would talk for hours. Up to the day he died, we talked on the phone almost daily. And we just laugh, carry on. It was so much fun. In fact, right here in this building, he stood out there by the office door and collected tithe from some of you saints. You would come by and give him your tithe money and say, Pastor, we just love you. And he would say, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. People come by and shake his hand. Oh, I enjoyed that preaching, Pastor. Thank you. I love you too. I preached a big conference out in California. I was changing clothes, and he's standing right there by the door of the office where I was changing in that convention center. And preachers coming by hugging him. He's right there at the main door, just hugging on and telling, boy, this is so great. You're so good, that preacher. He's out there just, thank you. Oh, y'all are blessed. And I'll walk out, and he goes, oh, y'all are wanting Tom. Here it is right here. He was that kind of guy. But he was joyful. If he made you a promise, he would keep it. Whatever he loved, he cherished it. And if somebody ever confided in him, he respected it. And when he did wrong, and he did that, he would apologize and move on. And he always said, if you want trust, you better earn it and work for it. And he was always joyful. He was principal of the school, and on his wall in his office I found this: if you see somebody falling behind, walk with them. If you see somebody being ignored, include them. If you see somebody that is down, lift them up. Always be reminding people of their worth. I got out of my truck Tuesday, parked in my spot out here. That big, nice tree, it's a double tree, y'all planted there when he died in his memory. And I appreciate that big old tree. It's so green now. The shade is big. It's a twin tree. There's a large rock at the bottom of it. It has his name on it, the date of his birth, and the date of his death. It says Cowboy Up. And on it says, to live in others' hearts is to never die. And he yet lives 10 years later because he lives in people's hearts. He knew how to have fun. He knew how to enjoy life. Perfect? No, not by a long shot. Problems? Multitudes of them. But he knew how to smile. And he knew how to laugh. and he knew how to reach. He was a great communicator, and he knew how to make people feel like they were worth something. And it brought joy. And I'm thinking of Jesus. That's how he lived his life. We get so caught up. And we'll have our resolutions for a new year. We will have all the plans that we want. Then we get distracted. Then we get turned around. We're looking for this. Boy, we're going to do this. But then we get distracted. You know, we're going to have the best marriage. We're going to raise the best kids. My job's going to be best. My schooling, my ministry. And then here comes those distractions. Those subtractions. And additions. Things we were not looking for. And things we were not sure about. And the pressure. And the stress. And the tension. And the pull and the push. We feel like we're losing it. We snap at the ones we love. And we hurt those closest to us. And we say things we really don't mean. We can be mean. If we're not careful, we lose the joy. Frustration becomes the order of the day. Pressure, we live that way. But I want to challenge you. Every day, we need to make up in our mind, I'm going to find the wow. I'm going to find the joy. You need to every day find the joy in your marriage, man. I got two amens. I got one that's right. Every day. Listen, guys, that would have been the time, even if you had to fake it, that would have been the time to shout amen. Because you would make her feel good.
Amen.
I'm telling you, if you want to break the tension and you're having pressures and struggles in that relationship, find the joy in it. Amen. You don't, listen to me. None of us are always right.
That's right. You're right. Amen.
Amen.
I'm going to have to say that again. Y'all are still trying to swallow that. There is nobody on the face of God's green earth that's always right.
Amen.
Now, if you listen to the noise coming out of Washington, both sides think they're always right. That's a problem I have when I'm in the office with people that are having problems with one another in their relationship. They both feel like they're right. And I'm trying to prove to them that you're not.
Amen.
But it's never just one. And there's always more. There's always another side to the story. Just dawned on me. I'm being filmed tonight. Lord have mercy, and the story of getting stuck with braces is out there forever. I should have had them cut the candy. Lord have mercy. Now, where was I? I got so rudely interrupted by that thought. You're not always right. And so, laugh at yourself. Have some fun.
Amen.
It doesn't always have to be the mood, the pout. It doesn't always have to be my way or the highway. It doesn't always have to be the frown, the stern look. But what happened to the smile? What happened to the joy? Come on. That's why the pastor is always trying to keep married people together and single people apart. I mean, I don't know what it is. All these single people are always wanting to be together. And then once they get married, it's bam. What are you doing? Okay, this is not a marriage seminar, so let's move right. Find the joy. Look for the joy.
Amen.
Make memories. That's what I'm saying. That you can look back on in time to come and remember it as a good thing.
Amen.
I remember my twin, and it puts a smile on my face.
Amen.
I can see him on that paint horse with his hat pulled down low, with that duster blowing back behind him. And he's leaning over that horse, and it looks like man and beast are just one creature. And that horse is running as fast as it can, and he's right in rhythm with it. He was there. It was awesome. I remember those, and when he would put the brakes on to that horse, he'd pull those reins back. He was easy with the bit, and that horse would slide to a stop, and the dust would rise up, and there he was, stirring and spinning and winning and just having a good time. I remember him with joy. Now, how are you going to be remembered? I've been there, talking with the family. The deceased, y'all are texting me now. Forgot to quiet my phone. The family is under the pressure. But yet, when I shake their hand and I look them in the eye, there's relief. He's gone. Yeah, we're going to miss that. But the pressure and the tension and all that we had to do, it's over. It's gone. And it's almost like hallelujah. But they don't want to, you're supposed to be sad. They really want to be shouting and being real joyful. Are y'all hearing me? So what kind of memories are you creating?
Yes, sir.
For those who remember you, make it fun. Make it joyful. Keep your word.
Amen.
Do what you say you're going to do. Forgive. Forgive.
Amen.
Let it go. Be happy. Somebody shout, be happy.
Be happy.
In spite of the circumstances, you can still be happy.
Amen.
You could be wounded. You could be hurt. I told you the story. My wife's great aunt lost 4 children in one afternoon. They all didn't die at the same time. They died minutes apart. The youngest one fell in the water, and another one jumped in to save them, and they both went under. A third one jumped in to save them, and all 3 went under. The fourth one jumped in, and all 4 drowned. And that had happened years before I met her. But when I came to the family and got to know her, it had been 20 years or more since that had happened. She was one of the most joyful people you could ever be around. But if you pull back the curtain, there was unbelievable sorrow. I think the oldest one was 11 or 12. Can you imagine 4 of them gone? 4 of them in an afternoon? 4 of them just like that? 4 little coffins lined up in the funeral. 4 grave plots out there. 4 futures wiped out. No high school graduation ever for that family. No college, no marriage, no grandkids. It's all over. It's gone in one afternoon. That mama and daddy's life. There it is. The joy. And I remember her would testify in church. That was back when you had testimony service in church. Man, that was always a train wreck waiting to happen. But every now and then you'd get a good one. And hers was always good. She'd get up, my dad would be in the pulpit, and she'd say, Pastor, I just want you to know that when life gets hard, there's always joy to be found in Jesus Christ.
Amen.
She said, when I've been at my last wit's end, He was always there. I find joy in Jesus Christ.
Amen.
And that's where I am right now. Folks, as I remembered my twin, and it's been 10 years, I wanted to go there. I wanted to be at the place where he left. I had to speak last night, so I couldn't go to Arizona. It's a beautiful place. And I remember my last conversation just mere minutes before he passed. And he had called me. And they were 2 hours behind us. It was 10:30 our time, 8:30 their time. The sun was just starting to set where he was at. And he said, Tom, Lord, this is cowboy country. Man, I'm training this horse. And he's on that ranch. And he's saying, wow, I mean, this horse, I've been riding her for 2 hours. We've been up in the mountains and coming back down now. And look down there, I see the ranch. And I see the ponds over there. And I see where the big haystack is. And the big arena and all the corrals. And he's coming down. And that ranch had a couple of camels on it. And he was talking about the camels. And how up in the desert there, you'd see the mountains and their purple majesty and the sun beginning to set and all the bright colors and the pinks and the orange and all that was there. And he was saying the full moon is just starting to come up over the mountain. Tom, you need to come out here and ride with me. This is cowboy country. And we talked a while. And we hung up. And I went in to go to bed. He laid down and went to heaven. And I could remember that as a harsh time. Speaking with someone that lost someone last year, and they were talking just today about, well, Pastor, it's so difficult. It's hard. I just saw this and heard this and I broke down and I had a moment and I said, I know exactly where you are. I have been there. But I want to assure you, you never get over it, but you get through it.
Amen.
And Jesus is there.
Amen.
And I know it sounds harsh to someone where the feelings are still raw, but time brings healing.
Amen.
And I remember when those first few months, I'd even get up, try to preach to you, and I would weep. It was difficult. But now I can talk to him tonight, or talk about him tonight. And it's a smile. And yeah, there's sorrow, but my joy is I'm going to see him in the morning.
Amen.
He and I are going to be all right.
Amen.
But when I've got a life to live, and I want to live my life with joy. I want to give joy. And the best way to give it is to tell people about Jesus Christ.
Amen.
You'll seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness. If you'll put everything else to the side and bring Jesus to the forefront, there's victory and there's power.
Amen.
It's joy unspeakable and full of glory.
Amen.
Let's stand together. Now, last year I lost my dad, so that memory is still fresh. So I knew if I spoke about him tonight, I would probably weep. But I'm speaking about my twin. And it's not that I don't hurt for him anymore. Oh, I wish I could pick the phone up and talk to him. How many times have I wished for that? But I can't. But friend, I can talk to Jesus.
Amen.
And He is the one that brings all the help. Let's bow our heads. Thank you.